Hello and welcome back to the third session on this Planet AR application. Now, in our previous session, we made the UI ready and now we are going to build our augmented reality scenes. So, let us start. So, now in our previous session, we had set up another scene and named it as Mercury. Now, if you open this Mercury scene, we had already added one XR origin and AR session components. And in this XR origin, just make sure that this XR origin transform values are reset to 0 and all this center offset, camera offset, main camera, all the transform values are reset, and also AR session also reset to 0. Now here we are now going to first create our first AR object, and the first AR object we are going to now create is Mercury. So for this I will right click here and add a 3D object sphere, and I am going to call this sphere as Mercury. And this sphere, if I come to the game view, you are not seeing this sphere at all, because the position of the sphere is somewhere 540, 960, some random position it has gone away. First thing is in transform, click on reset so that the position is reset, and the second thing is to make it appear. Now in the scene what has happened is our XR origin component, if you see, it is somewhere at the center, and the sphere Mercury is also at the center. So right now our device camera is sitting within the sphere, and that's why we are not able to see the sphere. So to make the sphere appear in the scene, come to the game view and along the Z view, Z value, that is along the depth, let us move it forward a little, and as I move forward here, you can see the sphere appearing. I will slightly move it to around 3 units. So when I move it by 3 units, you can now see the sphere. Okay. So now this sphere, let us add the right material. This you already know it. To create the material, come here to asset, right click, first create a folder, call this folder as materials, and in this material folder double click to open it, right click, create a new material and name this material as earth material. And for this earth material, now come to your asset, and in asset in planet textures folder you have all the textures. So what you have to first do is come to material, select earth material, come to planet texture, and now from the planet texture drag this Mercury, that is the texture, from here to the Albedo section of this earth material, and afterwards come back to material and drag this earth material to this Mercury. So we have the Mercury material applied to it. However, this Mercury material as of now is still, it is not rotating. So let us make it rotate. So to make it rotate, the next thing is I need a script. So go to file, choose save, and after saving it, come back to assets, right click, and after you right click here, create a new folder and call this folder as scripts. And in the scripts folder, now I am going to create a new script, C# script, and I am going to call this as RotateController. So we have created this RotateController new script, allow it to get compiled. So you can see here, now the compilation is over. I will now double click to open it in Visual Studio. and when it asks for authorization, you can click on yes, I trust the authors. Now here in this script, I am not going to make use of this start section. You can delete it off, and first thing here is I am going to declare a variable. So in the comment, I will add 2 forward slashes, and I am going to write the comment, this variable is used for attaching the game object. So I give the comment, and then let us declare first a new variable, that is the this variable is a game object. This is public, and the type of variable is game object, and the name I am going to give it is planet object. I will name it as planet object, and with colon, semicolon, I will end the line. So we have declared first one variable called planet object. Then press enter, and in the next line I will declare one more variable, public, and this time I am going to declare a vector3 variable. That is, see, these are the different kinds of variable. So the variable can be a string, the variable can be an integer, the variable can be a float, the variable can be a game object, and in Unity you can also declare a vector3 value. What is a vector3 value? If you come to your Unity scene, see, if I select Mercury here, you have for position you have 3 values, x, y, and z. Rotation you have 3 values. Scale you have 3 values. The 3 values that represent one particular that is the 3 values that represent one particular component is what we call as a vector3. So now coming back to script, here I am going to declare V capital vector3 variable, and I am going to call this as rotation vector. I will give it the name as rotation vector and end it with semicolon. So I have declared one variable game object and another one vector3. So after I have declared it, now next thing what I want is in update. So you already know that whatever command we put it in the update will be executed every frame when the game is running. So when the game is running, what I want this planet object game object, planet object game object to rotate. So the rotation is in which component? So if you come to Unity and see, rotation comes under transform component. So I will come back to Visual Studio, I will enter a period, and I will call this transform component, and in transform component what I need? Rotate, and rotate is a method, R is capital, rotate, and I open close parenthesis, I want to enter the parameter, and the parameter here is on what, in which axis it has to rotate and how much it has to rotate. So these two are determined in this parenthesis, and in this parenthesis I am going to now call the variable rotation vector, what we have declared here. Now here what happens is, if I only use this value, as I had already told in the previous class, this command is executed every frame, and sometimes what happens is, in some computer if the game is running at 30 frames per second, and in a faster high graphic computer if it is running at 120 frames per second, the rotation of this game object will not be constant on all machines. So because it is frame based, so instead of it being frame based, I want it to be time based. That is, every second you have to rotate 10 units, every second you have to rotate 20 units. So instead of every frame, I want it to run every second, and for this the rule we follow is whatever value is there, if you multiply it, I will press space here and I will add the star button to multiply it. I am going to multiply it by a standard called time dot delta capital T time, and when I multiply it by time dot delta time, I will then go here and end it with semicolon. So our rotation controller script is now ready. So what we have done in this script, we have declared a game object called as planet object. We have declared a vector 3 as rotation vector, and this planet object transform rotate is equal to rotation vector into time delta time. So with this one line of code in update and by declaring these two variables, our rotation controller is ready. Now I will go to file, choose save, and once you have saved it, come back to Unity and the script is now getting compiled. See, once the script is compiled, come to console window, there are no errors. So come back to project. Right now this script is lying in our warehouse, it is not on the scene, it is not getting executed. So to make it execute, I have to attach it to some game object in my scene, and here I am going to attach it, drag this rotation controller and attach it to my game object Mercury. So I have attached it to Mercury, and here you have the rotation controller. I will now drag this Mercury and I will attach it as the parent object here, and then in rotation along the y-axis, I want this to rotate along y-axis. I will set a value of 20. I will go to file, save this, and let us play the game and test it now. So when I play the game, so allow it to get compiled. Now you can see this Mercury is rotating at that is at the speed of 20. So you can see the rotation happening. So our first planet is now ready and it is working fine. So I will stop the playback and then I will just save this. Only thing is, you are seeing a too much of illusion appearing here, okay, due to light. See, these strings can be controlled through your material, that is material. So I will come back to materials here, select earth material, and in earth material you have different rendering mode. Right now this rendering mode is set to opaque, and you have this shader. Right now this shader is set to standard. I can use different types of shaders here. You have one shader here called unlit. If I use unlit, there will be no effect of light. So I can choose unlit, and if I choose texture, see now the entire planet became very flat. So I doesn't find it to be attractive, or it is not looking natural. So I will go back here and I am going to use the shader here. I will click on the shader and I will come back to this standard. Only thing is, to avoid this reflection, you have two features. One is metallic. Let us keep metallic 0, and in smoothness, see, if I reduce the smoothness, that intensity is varying. Okay, I will keep it to something around 0.3. So this is fine. Okay, now you doesn't have that patch. Okay, now I will go to file and choose save. So our planet is now ready. Now after I make the planet ready, I have to add one more component to this scene. What is that component is? See, now what happens is, when you click on Mercury, you will come to this scene, but then the user has to go back to his original scene. So for this, I have to add a back button. So for this, now I will come to Mercury, I will right click, now I will add an UI element which is an text canvas. I will first add a canvas. Just like last time, this is, let us leave the name as canvas only, no problem. And then in this canvas I will right click and I am going to add an UI element image. And in this image I will come here in the source image, and if I click on the list here, I have one back button here. I will select this back button and attach it to it, and then I will click on set native size to make it big, but this is too big. So in scale I will click on this uniform scale and I am going to scale it by 0.5, and I want this button on the top. So for this, what I will now do is I am now going to actually come here to this controller. I will click here, click Alt, and with Alt pressed, if I click here, this is aligned to the top left. See? Now I will go here, go to File, and I will save this. So we have made our Mercury scene ready. Now the next thing is, if I come to Assets, Scenes, you have two scenes here. One is the home screen and another is the Mercury. Now I will open home screen, and here when the user clicks on the Mercury button here, this scene has to open, and when the user clicks on the back button, it should go back to the home screen. And to achieve this, we are going to make use of another script, and with this script we are going to get introduced to another concept in Unity called as scene management, and we are going to discuss about this scene management in our next session. Thank you.